The words hit like ice water down my spine. "No one needs you to come this Christmas, Olivia." My mother's voice through the phone, casual, almost bored, as if she were declining a magazine subscription instead of uninviting her own daughter from the holiday I'd orchestrated for the past 7 years. My fingers tightened around my coffee mug until my knuckles went white, but I didn't drop it. Instead, I watched the steam rise in tiny spirals while my brain tried to process what I'd just heard. Behind me, my tiny Los Angeles kitchen suddenly felt smaller, the December sunlight through the window too bright, too cheerful for this moment. "Cool," I finally replied, my voice flat and steady even as my jaw locked. Then I added one sentence that I knew would wipe that dismissive tone right off her face. "Well, everything will be canceled then." The silence on the other end told me she finally realized she'd picked the wrong person to erase. My name is Olivia. I'm 28, and for as long as I can remember, Christmas has been my unpaid second job. This is the story of how I made my mother understand exactly what not needed really looks like. I planned every menu, designed every decoration, organized every group chat, and quietly fixed every disaster so my mother could look like the perfect hostess. Every candle placement, every playlist, every matching pajama set distribution. That was me. The same woman who built her entire reputation on my invisible labor had just looked at me through a phone screen and told me I wasn't needed, not invited, not welcome. Something inside me shifted. Not broke. Shifted. Like tectonic plates rearranging into a new landscape. I didn't cry, I didn't beg. If I wasn't needed, then I'd prove exactly how needed I was. I had the guest list. I had the traditions. I had all the leverage. With one message sent at the right time, her perfect Christmas could collapse like wet cardboard. When the call ended, I stood there staring at my reflection in the darkened phone screen. "No one needs you to come this Christmas." The sentence replayed in my head, each word sharper than the last. For years, I'd built my entire December around that house, that table, that carefully curated illusion of family harmony. And just like that, I'd been erased with one sentence. The ridiculous thing? She said it like she was doing me a favor, as if cutting me out was some kind of mercy. That's exactly who Margaret is. The kind of woman who breaks you, then acts like she's freeing you. To everyone else, she's the woman who makes Christmas magical. Perfect tree, perfect food, perfect family photos for social media. They applaud her every year, comment heart emojis on her posts, ask for her secret recipes. They never see the group chats I manage at 2 a.m., the spreadsheets I maintain year-round, the last-minute store runs when she forgets basic things like napkins or actual gifts for certain relatives. They don't see me scrubbing pans at midnight while she accepts praise like an actress taking bows after opening night. My brother Ryan just jokes that I'm good at this stuff. Easy for him to say. His contribution is showing up and breathing. Mine is everything else. Last year, the oven died an hour before guests arrived. She stood there on the verge of tears, already rehearsing her victim speech about unreliable appliances and how hard she'd tried. I quietly ordered emergency catering, rearranged the entire timeline, and convinced everyone it was a fun surprise menu change. She got compliments for being so creative and spontaneous. I got a distracted "thanks, Liv," while she posed for pictures in front of the table I'd saved. So when she told me, "No one needs you to come," something dark and clear crystallized in my chest. If I disappeared, that house wouldn't just feel emptier. It would fall apart completely. I'm the one who reminds Uncle James about his flight. I'm the one who picks up Grandma so she doesn't spend the holiday alone. I'm the one who organizes the Secret Santa list, texts cousins their assignments, nudges everyone to bring what they promised. Without me, there is no Christmas. Not the version they've grown accustomed to. The more I sat with it, the clearer it became. For once, I held actual power. For once, I could be the one who decides how the story ends. She thinks I'll stay in my lane, cry a little, then still show up with cookies and wrapped gifts like a well-trained soldier. But this time, I'm done being the background character in a story she takes credit for. I opened our big family Christmas group chat and stared at the list of names. Uncles, aunts, cousins, neighbors, even Dad, all neatly lined up under my admin status. That word suddenly felt like a loaded weapon in my hand. I didn't type anything yet. I just let the idea breathe for a moment. If the person you treat as disposable suddenly stops doing the invisible work that holds your life together, what happens then? Would you still show up smiling if your own mother told you weren't needed? Or would you finally show her exactly how much of her perfect life is built on your back? The next morning, my phone started buzzing before my alarm went off. I didn't need to check to know who it was. Ryan playing his favorite role, cleanup crew for Mom's emotional messes. I let it ring twice, 3 times, then picked up. What? No hello, no fake sweetness, just that. Wow, good morning to you too. He scoffed lightly, then shifted into that familiar tone, the peacemaker voice. Look, Mom told me what happened. She didn't mean it like that. You know how she gets when she's stressed. There it was. The classic family translation. She stabbed you emotionally, but don't bleed on the carpet. She said no one needs me, I replied evenly. She meant it. She just doesn't want drama this year. She's tired, Liv. You know she's been doing this alone for years. I actually laughed, sharp and sudden. Doing what alone? Ordering me around? He ignored that completely. Anyway, even if you're not coming, can you at least help with the usual stuff? The group chats, the reminders, the playlist? You're kidding, I cut in. So I'm not needed, but my work still is? Silence. Then a frustrated exhale. Olivia, don't be dramatic. This isn't about you. I felt my fingers dig into the edge of the counter. Really? Because she literally made it about me. Ryan kept going like he was reading from a script Mom had pre-approved. Mom's worried. She thinks you're pulling away from the family. She's the one who paid for your college, your apartment deposit, everything. At least you could make Christmas easy on her. A bitter taste filled my mouth. Paid for my college? You mean the college I dropped out of after 1 semester because there wasn't enough money for me to go back? Oh my God, not this again, he muttered. You know things were tight back then. She did what she had to do. She even used your fund when Dad's business went south. For all of us. Stop acting like you're the only victim here. My brain stuttered. What fund? There was a tiny pause, like he'd realized too late what he'd just revealed. Nothing. Look, forget it. Just, can you send the reminder in the group? People are asking about start time. But I wasn't listening anymore. My heart didn't sink. It hardened into something dense and unmovable. There had been a fund, money meant for me, money I'd never seen. I have to go, I said quietly, and hung up before he could spin another story. Later that day, I tore through old emails, bank statements, anything that might prove my instincts right. Buried in an archived folder, I found it. A message from our old bank with an attachment labeled, College Savings for Olivia, Do Not Touch. The account had been opened when I was 9 years old. The last transaction showed the balance completely drained 5 years ago. The same year, Ryan suddenly got bailed out of his 3rd credit card disaster. I'd tried to go back to school that year, tried to salvage my education after working for 4 years to save up enough. But when I'd asked Mom about the fund Grandma had mentioned once, she told me it had never been enough to matter and that I should focus on working instead. Now I knew why she'd been so dismissive. She'd already spent every penny of it on Ryan. The withdrawal authorization had 2 signatures, mine and Margaret's. My signature looked wrong, sloppier than I remembered, like someone had tried to copy my handwriting. My hands shook, but not from sadness, from absolute clarity. She hadn't just cut me out of Christmas. She'd been cutting pieces out of my future for years, then made me feel guilty for wanting anything back. And now she wanted me quiet and obedient for one more performance. I opened the family Christmas chat again. This time, I didn't hesitate. I created a new group. Christmas update December 24th. I added everyone except Mom and Ryan. Then I wrote, Hey everyone, just a quick update. Mom told me she's feeling really overwhelmed this year and doesn't want a big crowd. She asked me to scale things way down, so I'll be hosting anyone who still wants to celebrate at my place in LA. Totally understand if you already have other plans, but if you'd like a warm meal, presents, and some real conversation, my door is open. I stared at the message for exactly 3 seconds, then hit send. The replies started rolling in almost immediately. Honestly, a smaller thing sounds nice. We were only coming because of you anyway, Liv. Can I bring dessert? What time should we get there? I watch my mother's perfectly curated empire start to tilt, one polite message at a time. Tell me, if you discovered your mom had secretly emptied your college fund to rescue your golden child brother, would you still play nice at Christmas? Or would you start rewriting the guest list too? By the end of the day, my apartment was transforming into Plan B, the real Christmas. People kept texting, asking what they could bring, what time to arrive, whether kids were welcome. Every notification felt like another nail in the coffin of my mother's perfect image. I didn't tell anyone about the fund yet. Not yet. I wanted that truth to land at exactly the right moment, in exactly the right way. Revenge isn't just about anger. It's about timing. Between answering messages, I set up my phone on the kitchen counter and hit record. My mom told me no one needed me to come home for Christmas this year. I started, staring straight into the camera. So I decided to see what would happen if I stopped doing all the invisible work I've been doing for her my entire life. I didn't say her name. I didn't name anyone. I just told the story. The decorations, the planning, the emotional manipulation, the way I'd been treated like staff instead of family. I didn't cry. I didn't beg the audience to feel sorry for me. I just laid out the facts one by one, like evidence in a case file. At the end, I smiled. Small, cold, unfamiliar. If you've ever been the forgotten one in your own family, I said, this Christmas is for us. I saved the video, scheduled it to post on the evening of December 24th, and set my phone down. Let the internet watch what happens when you push the quiet one too far. Then I got to work. I called the catering company my mom uses every year, under my account, of course, because she never wanted anything traceable to her credit card. Hi, I need to cancel that holiday order, I said sweetly. Yes, the entire thing. Next, I emailed the linen rental company, the one that delivered tablecloths and chair covers so everything would look elevated and elegant. Plans changed, please cancel everything, thank you. Finally, I called Grandma. She picked up on the second ring, breathless and hopeful. Liv, are you excited for Christmas at your mother's? My throat tightened, but I didn't let it show. Actually, Grandma, Mom told me she's really overwhelmed this year. She's scaling things way back, but I didn't want you to be stuck alone. So how would you feel about spending Christmas at my place instead? I'll come pick you up. There was a pause, then a soft, delighted laugh. Oh, sweetheart, I'd love that. It's been ages since I've seen your apartment. Your mother's been so busy, she hardly lets me visit anymore. Yeah, I said, staring at the wall. Busy. After I hung up, I checked the chats again. My mother had created a smaller side group, immediate family only, and was furiously typing. I don't know what's wrong with Olivia. She's trying to ruin Christmas. Ryan, you need to talk some sense into her. She truly believed I was the problem. That was fine. She could scream into her little bubble all she wanted. The rest of the family was already making other plans. Around midnight, my phone lit up again. Ryan, video call. I answered. His face filled the screen, annoyed and exhausted. What the hell are you doing? He demanded. People keep asking if Christmas is canceled at Mom's. Did you tell them that? I told them Mom wanted something smaller, I replied calmly. Which is true. She doesn't want me there, remember? You're twisting everything, he snapped. She just wanted less chaos this year. Then she got exactly what she asked for, I said. Less people, less chaos, less me. His jaw clenched. You're taking this too far, Olivia. This is family. You can't just sabotage Christmas. Funny, I said, because she had no problem sabotaging my future the day she signed away my college fund. This time, he didn't have a quick comeback. He just stared at me, something shifting behind his eyes. You don't understand everything that happened, he finally muttered. Maybe I don't, I agreed, but she's about to. I ended the call before he could respond. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop explaining yourself to people who never really listen. If your whole family was built on a lie you didn't consent to, how far would you go to make everyone finally see the truth? 2 days before Christmas, the mask finally slipped completely. My phone rang again, and this time it was her, my mother, not texting, not hiding behind Ryan. A full, old-fashioned phone call. I let it ring long enough to make a point, then answered. Yes? No? Hi, Mom. No forced cheer, just that. What do you think you're doing? She hissed. No hello from her either. I just got off the phone with your aunt. She says you told her I canceled Christmas. I told her you didn't want a big crowd, I corrected, which is what you told me when you said no one needs me to come. Don't twist my words, she snapped. You know I was talking about your attitude, not your presence. I actually laughed. So my attitude isn't needed, but my labor is. Oh, for God's sake, Olivia, she said, voice sharpening like a blade. This martyr act is getting old. You've always been so sensitive. You act like a slave when all you do is send a few messages and bake some cookies. Heat flooded my chest. A few messages, I repeated carefully. You signed me up for years of unpaid work and called it tradition. I handle everything, Mom, and you know it. There was a shaky breath on the other end. Then she went straight for the jugular. You want to talk about work? I worked my fingers to the bone for you. I used my savings so you could have a future. I sacrificed everything, and this is how you repay me, by turning the family against me? I almost let her have that narrative. Almost. But then I remembered the bank statement, the drained account, my forged signature. Your savings? I asked quietly. Or mine? Silence. Real silence this time. Not the calculated kind. What are you talking about? She said, but her voice had dropped, lost all its sharp edges. I opened the photo I'd taken of that old bank statement, my thumb hovering over the send button in the group chat labeled immediate family only. Then I changed my mind and selected the other chat instead. Christmas update December 24th. Everyone. All of them. I'm talking about the college fund Grandma set up in my name, I said. The one you drained 5 years ago to bail Ryan out while telling me there wasn't enough for me to stay in school. That fund. That money was for the family, she snapped, suddenly regaining some of her bite. Your father's business was failing. Ryan was drowning in debt. We did what we had to do. Stop acting like the world revolves around you. Right, I murmured. You did what you had to do for everyone except me. My thumb hovered over that blue arrow. This time, I attached the screenshot and wrote a short message to the entire group. Since Mom told me no one needs me to come this Christmas, I decided to host whoever still wants to celebrate. Also, for those who ever wondered why I never finished college, here's part of the answer. I didn't hit send. Not yet. My mother was still talking, ranting about loyalty and respect, about how I was ungrateful and brainwashing everyone against her. I barely heard her. I was staring at that unsent message, at the tiny blue arrow that would change everything. Once I sent it, there would be no going back to pretending. No more, that's just how she is. No more, she means well. Just truth. Bare, ugly, real. You think you're so powerful? She spat. You think you can ruin my Christmas? Let me be very clear, Olivia. No one needs you to come. Stay in your little apartment with your pity party. We'll be just fine without you. I felt my face go cold. There it was. This time, no excuses. No wrong tone. No, you misheard me. Just the sentence again with all the venom fully exposed. I pulled the phone away from my ear and looked at her contact name on the screen, hearing her voice still going on and on in the background. Then I brought it back and said calmly, "Cool." I could almost hear her smirk before I added, "Well, everything will be canceled then." I ended the call, and without giving myself one more second to hesitate, I hit send. Tell me, if you had the proof in your hand that your own mother sold your future to protect her favorite child, would you keep the peace, or would you press that button too? The fallout started almost immediately. My phone lit up like New Year's Eve fireworks, only this time the lights were accusations, shock, and disbelief. "Is this real?" a cousin wrote. "What fund?" another asked. Grandma sent a confused voice note asking if this was some kind of mistake. I replied once, clearly. "It's real. I just found out myself. I'm not asking anyone to take sides. I'm just not hiding it anymore." After that, I let the chat run wild. People started sharing their own stories. Times my mother had borrowed money and never mentioned paying it back. Times she'd shifted blame, twisted the truth. It was like ripping up old carpet and finding mold underneath. Everyone had smelled something off for years. Now they finally saw it. Meanwhile, in the immediate family-only chat, my mother completely unraveled. "How dare you air private family matters," she wrote. "This is betrayal." Ryan tried to play mediator again. "Mom, calm down. We can talk about this later," he typed. But even in text, I could feel his panic. He hadn't known I'd found proof. He hadn't expected me to aim this high. On the morning of December 24th, my scheduled video went live. My notifications exploded as strangers on the internet poured in. Comments, likes, shares, people telling me their own stories, their own toxic holiday traditions, their own mothers who treated them like props instead of people. I read enough to realize something important. I wasn't alone, and my family wasn't unique. It was just finally being dragged into the light. By late afternoon, my apartment smelled like cinnamon and roasted garlic. I moved between the stove and the door, letting in guests as they arrived. Cousins with casseroles, an uncle with bottles of wine, neighbors who'd seen my video and knocked just to drop off dessert and a hug. Grandma arrived clinging to my arm, teary-eyed but smiling. "You did all this yourself," she whispered as she looked around at the mismatched decorations and crowded kitchen. "All these years and you never got credit. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." I swallowed the lump in my throat and squeezed her hand. "You see it now. That's enough." Around 7 p.m., my dad called. I almost didn't answer, but something in me needed to hear his voice. "Liv," he said, sounding older than I remembered. "What's going on?" "You saw the screenshot," I replied. "You tell me." He sighed heavily. "Things were complicated back then. I was drowning in debt. Your mother made choices." "With my money," I said. "With my future. Without my consent." There was a pause, then a quiet admission. "Yes." I waited for an apology. It never came. Instead, he said, "Your mother is devastated. Half the family isn't coming. Your brother just stormed out of the house. Is this what you wanted?" I looked around my crowded apartment. People laughing, clinking glasses, kids playing with wrapping paper on the floor. It felt messy and loud and real. "I wanted the truth," I said. "Whatever comes with it is just consequence." "You've humiliated her," he said quietly. "She's sitting at a table set for 20, and there are 4 of us here." For a second, a tiny flicker of guilt tried to claw its way in. Then I remembered myself at 18 crying quietly in my room because I couldn't go back to school, being told, "There's nothing we can do," while my brother mysteriously got bailed out of his 3rd financial disaster. I remembered her saying I was too sensitive whenever she hurt me. I remembered her voice saying, "No one needs you to come this Christmas." "Then she finally knows how it feels," I replied. "Every year I sat at that table and felt like a placeholder. She chose this. I just stopped covering it up." He didn't respond. The silence told me he knew I was right, even if he'd never say it out loud. "Merry Christmas, Dad," I said, and hung up. A few hours later, there was a knock at my door. Loud, frantic, desperate. For a second, my stomach dropped. But when I opened it, it wasn't my mother. It was Ryan, standing there with no coat, cheeks flushed from the cold, holding a half-wrapped gift in his hands. He'd driven 3 hours from Mom's house in the rain, getting my address from one of our cousins who'd already arrived. Behind him, the hallway was empty. "Can I come in?" he asked. His voice didn't have its usual confidence. "Depends," I said. "Are you here to drag me back to Mom's table, or to actually listen for once?" He exhaled, shoulders slumping. "I left," he admitted. "She spent the whole dinner yelling about you, about how you ruined everything. She didn't apologize, not once. I kept waiting. She just kept saying how embarrassed she was." "Embarrassed," I repeated. "Not sorry." He nodded miserably. "There's a difference," I said. He looked at me then. Really looked, like he was seeing me clearly for the first time. I didn't know about the account," he said quietly. "I mean, I knew Mom found money when I was in trouble, but I don't know what I thought. That she had savings somewhere, that Dad helped. I didn't realize she took it from you." You never asked, I replied. You never wanted to know where your safety net came from. He flinched. You're right, he said. I didn't. That's on me. The living room behind me erupted in laughter at someone's joke. The contrast between my warm apartment and the cold, lonely picture he'd just painted of our mother's house was almost cinematic. So why are you here? I asked. Because, he said, voice rough, I don't want to spend Christmas pretending anymore. I stepped aside. Then come in, I told him. But understand this. I'm not the family punching bag or event planner anymore. If you're here as my brother, not as Mom's messenger. He nodded and walked past me, eyes widening at the sight of everyone gathered there, laughing and eating and actually enjoying themselves. For the first time, he saw what I could build without her, what I could be without begging for her approval. Watching the person who hurt you finally sit alone in the mess they made feels good, but is it as satisfying as you imagined? Or does it leave a different kind of quiet behind? Christmas night stretched on in a blur of chaos and warmth. We played stupid games. We burned one of the side dishes and ordered pizza as a joke. Someone started a sing-along that went horribly off-key, and Grandma laughed so hard she had to sit down. My apartment wasn't big. It wasn't fancy. Nothing matched. But for the first time in my life, I felt like I was hosting something that was actually mine. Not a show for my mother. A home. Ryan stayed mostly in the corner at first, awkward and uncomfortable, as if he'd stepped into a different universe. Eventually, one of our cousins dragged him into a card game, and I watched his shoulders relax little by little. He caught my eye once and mouthed, "Thank you." I just nodded. He had a long way to go, but at least he was finally walking in the right direction. Around midnight, after most people had left and the apartment was littered with empty plates and torn wrapping paper, there was another knock at the door. This time I knew who it was before I even stood up. My entire body went still. Ryan straightened on the couch. "You don't have to open it," he murmured. "I know," I said. But I did. I opened the door just enough to see her. Margaret, my mother. She stood in the hallway in her best holiday dress, makeup smudged, hair slightly out of place, clutching her phone like a lifeline. She'd gotten my address from Dad, who'd finally broken under her pressure. Behind her, the corridor was empty and quiet. No backup, no audience. Just us. "Olivia," she said, voice low. Not angry, not yelling, something worse. Small. "Can we talk?" I stepped into the hallway and pulled the door mostly closed behind me, leaving just a crack so I could still hear the faint noise of my own party, my world. "About what?" I asked. "About how I ruined your Christmas?" She winced. "You didn't ruin it. You ruined mine." "No," I corrected. "I stopped pretending for you. You ruined yours all by yourself." Her eyes flashed. For a moment, I thought she'd snap back, unleash the full force of her favorite weapons, guilt and shame. Instead, she exhaled slowly. "Everyone is talking about that screenshot, about the video you posted. I can't show my face without people looking at me like I'm a monster." "Maybe stop acting like one," I replied. Her jaw tightened. "You have no idea what it took to hold this family together," she whispered. "Your father was useless with money. Ryan was reckless. I did what I had to do." "You did what you had to do," I repeated. "Fine, own it. But don't you dare pretend you did it for me. You took from me. You lied to me. You made me feel guilty for wanting anything. And then you called me not needed when I stopped killing myself to make you look good." Her eyes glistened, but I didn't move toward her. I'd been conditioned my whole life to comfort her when she cried, even after she hurt me. Not this time. "I shouldn't have said that," she admitted, voice cracking. "I was angry. You were being difficult." "Being difficult?" I echoed. "You called me unnecessary on purpose." "I was hurt," she shot back. "You were turning everyone against me, planning your own Christmas." "I planned my own Christmas because you uninvited me from yours," I said calmly. "I didn't turn them against you. I just stopped hiding what you did." We stared at each other, years of unspoken things hanging between us like thick smoke. Finally, she whispered, "I'm alone, Olivia." Your father is useless. Your brother walked out. Half the family isn't speaking to me. Are you happy now?" The old me would have broken right there. I would have rushed in, wrapped my arms around her, apologized for making her feel bad. But tonight I saw it for what it was. Not vulnerability, but manipulation. "No," I said honestly. "I'm not happy that you're alone. I'm happy that the truth is out." She blinked. "So what now? You never come home again? You cut me off forever? Is that what you want?" I looked back at the sliver of light coming from my apartment, at the blurry shapes of people moving around inside. Then I looked at her. "What I want," I said slowly, "is a mother who doesn't treat me like a servant or a spare part. I want a family where my worth isn't measured by how well I make you look. I don't know if you're capable of being that person." She flinched like I'd slapped her. "So that's it?" "No," I said. "That's the starting line. If you want a relationship with me, here are the rules. You don't get to call me not needed ever again. You don't touch money that belongs to me. You don't use me as your emotional punching bag and then cry when I stop absorbing the hits. And you apologize, really apologize, for what you did. Not because you're embarrassed, but because you finally understand that it was wrong." Her eyes filled with tears again. For a moment, I thought she might actually say, "I'm sorry," and mean it. But instead, she pulled herself upright, spine stiffening. "I don't deserve to be spoken to like this," she snapped, the old pride flaring back to life. "After everything I've done, after everything I've sacrificed—" I cut her off with a small, tired smile. "Then you know where the door is," I said, and nodded toward the elevator. We both knew she wasn't coming inside. Not tonight. Maybe not for a long time. Maybe never. She stared at me, waiting for me to cave. I didn't. After a long, silent moment, she turned and walked away, heels clicking sharply against the floor. I watched until the elevator doors closed, until there was nothing left but my own reflection in the shiny metal. Then I went back inside. Ryan looked up anxiously when I entered. "Is she here?" he asked. "She was," I said. "She left." "Did you—" He trailed off, unsure what he was even asking. "I told her the truth," I replied. "For once, I told her the truth and didn't apologize for it." He nodded slowly, like that more than anything was the real revolution. Later, after everyone had gone and the apartment was quiet, I sat on the couch in the dim glow of the tree lights and let the weight of everything settle. I'd blown up my family's favorite holiday. I'd exposed long-buried secrets. I'd left my mother alone with the consequences of her own choices. And I'd celebrated Christmas, really celebrated it, for the first time in my life. Revenge isn't clean. It doesn't magically fix the years you lost. It just makes sure the person who broke you finally stops walking around like they did nothing wrong. Does it feel good? Yes. Does it fix everything? No. But for the first time, the story is mine. In the months that followed, Ryan and I started rebuilding what a sibling relationship could actually look like. One where he acknowledged his role in the family dynamic and we both agreed to leave Mom's manipulation tactics behind us. Dad remained somewhere in the middle, torn between loyalty and truth, occasionally reaching out but never quite choosing a side. Most of the extended family found their own balance, some drifting back toward Mom's orbit, others maintaining the connections they'd rebuilt with me that Christmas. As for my mother and me, we haven't spoken since that night in the hallway. She never apologized, never acknowledged what she did, never showed any sign that she understood why her perfect Christmas fell apart. Sometimes I wonder if she's changed, if she's finally looked in the mirror and seen the pattern. But I realized something important. I don't need to know. I spent too many years waiting for her to see me, to value me, to choose me. Now I choose myself. That hallway confrontation was the last time I saw her face. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Some relationships don't get happy endings, and that's not always the child's responsibility to fix. If your mother told you no one needs you to come this Christmas, would you swallow the hurt and show up anyway? Or would you cancel her perfect little show and build something real for yourself instead? I chose me, and I'd make that choice again. Tell me in the comments, would you choose revenge forgiveness, or something in between? Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles, zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.